Hey guys, creator mom. It is a freaking beautiful day today. Yesterday was so cloudy and cold, and today it's like warming back up again, so that's good. Yesterday my friend reminded me about induced conversation. I totally forgot about that phrase because I'm very low contact with the narcissistic parent, soon to be no contact. That's my goal. No contact physically and like this guy Jerry Wise says, that you have to remove the family system from inside of you as well, which is all the things that feeling not good enough and doubting yourself, and to me it's siding more with them than yourself. That's kind of like what I feel it means to. He calls it self-differentiating, which I think is a wonderful term. I want to self-differentiate from the family system. So I got pulled into a conversation yesterday, which I think I did pretty well at. I'm almost too careful with how I respond. I try to respond honestly, but without making you statements. You're combative, you're domineering, trying not to be reactive. Sometimes I feel like I'm trying too hard though, to be perfect. Trying too hard to have a perfect response that the narcissistic parent can't weaponize against me. But I'm trying to control their reactions, right? That's still me trying to control their reaction, I guess. Trying to be perfect so they don't weaponize my response against me. But they still will. They weaponize. It seems like they weaponize everything against you, Nothing you do is good enough. No response is good enough for them. It's just doesn't mean I'm not good enough. It just means that nothing is good enough for them, seemingly. You want to know why nothing is good enough for them when it comes to saying no to them or no contact. Because unless it's a yes, because the only thing good enough for them is saying yes. Is, kind of agreeing with them and doing what they want you to do. Complying. That is the only thing. And even then, anyways, to me, there's only two options. You can take the pain, the deal with the pain of getting away, self-differentiating, or deal with the pain of continuing to suppress yourself and be around them and continue with the cycle. It's crazy because I feel like I'm being dragged back into the cycle. And people say, think about something positive when you're dealing with difficult people. I don't think the spiritual community likes to acknowledge narcissism, because then, God forbid, that makes you a victim. It's like, no. Just acknowledge what people are. Acknowledge it so that you can be like, well, do I accept this or do I not accept this? Do I want to be around this person or do I not? That's the only reason. If you see it for what it is and you still choose to be around that person and deal with it all, then sure, you're choosing that. But this whole thing about, I don't know, this whole thing about we're creating people's behavior. No, we created being in a relationship with that person, and not necessarily with our parents. You're born to somebody. You don't have a choice about that. Didn't they even try to say We chose our parents. We chose to come here. I'm just like, no. That could people can gaslight you with that shit. Because there's no proof. Well, you chose to come here. Oh, really? How do you know that? Because I said so. Because God told me. Like, okay. Well, I don't agree with you. I don't know why I'm here, because, somehow I'm here. Because of God, whatever. But to say that I chose it, that takes conscious aware. You're saying I consented to coming here? If I consented to coming here, then I would remember that I consented and that I chose. To me, chose means like a conscious awareness of what you're doing. I don't know, it's just another tool to gaslight people, I feel like. That's the thing about the spiritual community that we have to be careful with, I think, is gaslighting. With the manifestation community, with Christian, with any spiritual community, dealing with like the invisible world, energy, it's easy to manipulate people and it's easy to gaslight people because there's no physical, concrete evidence. You know how they say, like, it is what you believe it is, right? I think you just have to make the decision to always believe yourself. That's what I think it comes down to, and not in a rude way. And even with narcissism, right? That's why people even find narcissism in the spiritual community. Anywhere where you can easily dominate other people's minds and make them feel like things are their fault or some shit like that. I think the basic message is we must always choose ourselves. I think that's the only safe way. Always check with yourself. And if something isn't right for you, then choose that it's not right for you and it doesn't feel right and move along. Instead of self-doubting because some person outside of you will say, no, this is the right way to think about it. And you know what? Say you get down the road and say at that point down the road, what that person was saying back down there, you actually now find to be true, or you have now also come to realize at this other point. You just, like, it doesn't necessarily mean you were wrong. It means that, like, you were right for yourself in that moment in time. And now, if you understand and something else is revealed to you and resonates with you, then that's right for you right now on your path. No regret, right? It's just the only thing that I feel like things boil down to is always choosing what you think and what you feel. Because, the narcissistic people will be like, well, that's your perception. You try to tell them why you don't want to be around them anymore. Like, the narcissistic parent was like, I want to ask you about... I literally fled from her home 2 years ago. Paid $500 to take a flight. An earlier flight back. Because I had to escape. Like other people, I've had to escape from her too. And she has a nerve to ask me if she can come to vacation, take her vacation and come down to visit us here. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I didn't say that. Because again, I can't react inflammatorily. I can't say, are you fucking kidding me? Get the fuck out of here. No, I can't do that. I said, no, like, no, you can't come here. Just plain, right? No, you cannot come here, or whatever. Just basic response and basic answer. And it doesn't end there. That's just the beginning of the induced conversation. The reason was the next response. Fuck. Now I gotta come up with a reason. No is a fucking complete sentence. That's what I should have said. But here I am. Now I'm criticizing myself, you know. I should have said, I mean, and even if I would have said that, she would have still come back and say something else, guys. There's no way to control them leaving you alone. You know, like, you can only control yourself. You can only just choose not to respond anymore and let them keep talking. And they're going to accuse you and say, see, this is the problem. You're not communicating. Blah, blah, blah. And then which triggers you, because you're like, oh, well, no, I communicate. Like, I want somebody to know, or I want to communicate, or I don't want to leave them in the dark, you know. But it's all a trick. You're communicating because you answered the question. You know, can I come over there and date? No, you may not. Okay. That's it, right? But no, it doesn't. It's just like, oh, what's the reason? And you give a reason. Because that's not for, because I don't want to be around you, or that's not going to work for us. I don't know, whatever the hell your reason. Try to come up with the perfect answer. And then she tries to point out, you know, the selfishness of that. Oh, well, what do you mean? For whom? Is it not good for you? Just you? Because you're selfish. Because she wants my kids. You know? She wants to, it's like, push you to the side. That's mine, you know. I've always felt like she wanted to steal my life. And, I don't know. This is a old cycle, and I'm really trying to break it. I'm breaking the cycle. I didn't know what ways to break the cycle. I've tried, okay, well, maybe I have to break the cycle by loving her, by actually trying to be in a relationship with her. No. That's like fucking impossible. Oh, well, maybe I break the cycle by going no contact. Well, then you feel like you're still being chased, you know. But I don't know. Maybe I'll just come up with some new affirmations to say. But I think the whole point is to really believe yourself. And realize that if you feel like escaping and running from someone, that trust that instinct. Trust that instinct. Doesn't matter if they're your mom. Who cares? Always trust your instinct. I think we forget that. I forget that. Because we have a tendency to always doubt it. But then we'll get confirmations. Like, I was talking to this one mom in our neighborhood, and she lived next to these people. These kids were friends with my kids. And I took my kids to the park to meet with these kids, and their dad was with them. And he basically kind of tried to hit on me. But I knew already what he was, because when I would go take out the trash, I'd have to walk past their house. And if he was standing on the porch, the way he would look at me and the energy he was putting out already told me everything I needed to know. I felt it. I felt the energy. I didn't ask for that. I didn't create that shit. That's not my problem. I sensed it and thought, okay, I know what that person is. You can feel people's energy. So, but then he acted on that in the future. See, if I would have, imagine if I would have doubted myself, like, oh, I'm so stupid to think that guy's putting out energy towards me, that it's like sexual energy. No, that shit is fucking real. You feel it when people are putting out that energy, you know? So don't doubt yourself, because that's real. The energy, you know? Anyways, I just thought I would make this video and chat while I was walking. And, you know, the whole thing about breaking the cycle with the narcissistic parent is just, I don't know. I'm just gonna keep siding with myself and keep trying to build myself up and, you know, do the best that I can do, I guess.